what Jesus Christ would be. That's what Jesus Christ would be very pleased with, that people are glorifying the Lord on his birthday. But the funny thing is, when I ask people, what are your plans for Christmas? Most of them are either talking about, partying, drinking, getting wasted, going clubbing, or just, eating a lot of sweets. Uh, yeah, I think this is the best way of spending Christmas, glorifying the holy teachings of the Lord. And thank you. I would like to show my appreciation to all of you for choosing to spend your Christmas so wisely. So we will get started. Just a few things before we get started. This is not going to be like, because Ghanshyam Prabhu is far more knowledgeable. I have very little knowledge, so it's going to be more of an interactive session where I want to get more of your realizations. We just don't want to read it and just like read and just throw out. We want to share our realizations, something that we have experienced, and we can get more insights on each other's lives and then truly understand, because I believe the best teachings come from experience. So if you guys can share your experiences after the class, we'll read a couple of lines from the purport, and then I'll be asking all of you guys to share some experiences. I'll be sharing some of mine. So we will be reading from Bhagavad Gita chapter 7 verse 16. So I will give you guys some time to get it ready. Once you're done, we'll just start reading that. If everybody could show me a thumbs up once they've got the page open in front of me. Okay, Shohel, Akanksha. All right, all good. So I'd like Priya, if you can start reading the Sanskrit shloka, Chatur to Bharatar Sabha.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
चतुर्विद्या भजन्ते मा जनान् सुकृतिनो जुर्न अर्थो जिनर्षु अर्थाथि जननी च भरत सर्व.
Perfect. So one thing Prabhupada used to always emphasize on is, he said that even in Bhagavad Gita, you should really focus on reading the Sanskrit shloka, because the Sanskrit language is so powerful. Just by reading the shloka and reciting it many times, the knowledge automatically gets transferred to the heart. And this is done in practicality. If you see any of the Bhagavatam classes that are done in ISKCON as well, they'll recite the Sanskrit verse again and again, so that it's just stuck in your head. And the verses are very powerful. The sound has a very powerful energy, and continuously chanting it will get that transcendental knowledge to your heart. So again, I would request Shohel to read the Sanskrit again. I want everybody to read the Sanskrit once, so that they've just got an idea of how the pronunciations work, and by constant repetition, we'll be able to interpret the purport much better. So Shohel, if you could read, I'll just read it once to give you the correct pronunciation, just so you understand. I may not be 100% correct. So it's Chaturvida bhajante mam Jnana sukrito arjuna artho jignasur artharti jnani cha bharatar sabha. So Shohel, if you could just do that Sanskrit shloka again.
Sattavita bhajnante mam janasu kritenu rajana ato chinnasu art adi anita parat asabha.
Perfect. Akanksha, if you could also do the Sanskrit shloka once.
चतुर्विद्या भजन्ते मां जना ज्ञान सुकृति अर्जुन आर्थो जिना सुर अथार्थी ज्ञानी च भरत सभा.
Perfect. So before we start the class, I will just do a quick prayer that we offer respects to all the acharyas that have blessed us with this divine knowledge. So it'll be just a minute. Om Agyana Timarandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmitalam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kada Mayam Dadanti Swapam Padantikam. Vande ham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadavitam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha. हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता जगतपते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये कल्पतरुभ्रश्च कृपा सिंधु एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So if you guys ever want to know what this mantra was, if you open the introduction part of the Bhagavad Gita, it's basically Srila Prabhupada offering his respects to all the acharyas before. He offers respects to Krishna, He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate, to Srimati Radharani, then Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda are all the so Sri Krishna Chaitanya was the incarnation of Lord Krishna, who gave us the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and through which all this knowledge is passed on through, and all the acharyas and everybody in the disciplic succession. So just a short prayer that we do before we start. All right. Chaturveda bhajante mam jana sukrito arjuna artho jignasur artharti jnani cha bhartar sabha. So if I could get Akanksha to read the synonyms, the translation. So you just do Chaturveda and then you do the translation with that.
Tatovidam, four kinds of bhajante, render services, ma, unto me, janaha, persons, sukritna, those who are pious, Arjuna, O Arjuna, arthaha, the distressed, jinasuha, the inquisitive, artha, arthi, one who desires material gain, janani, one who knows everything as they are, cha, also, Bharat Sabha, or one great amongst the descendant of the Bharata.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Shohel, can you read the translation, please? Oh, best among Bharatas.
Thou best among the Bharatas, all kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me. The distressed, the desire of wealth, the inquisitive, and he who is searching for knowledge of the absolute.
Thank you so much. So just a little bit of an idea of this chapter. In this chapter, Sri Krishna is giving Arjuna more information about his transcendental position. It's called knowledge of the absolute. So in this, he goes on to mention the type of people who do not render service unto him. And then in this verse, he goes on to talk about the people who do render service to him. So in the previous one, he just gives an idea of, hardcore atheists, then very foolish, ignorant persons, lowest of mankind, deluded spectators, like people, Mayavadi, people who have a misguided information of the absolute. In this verse, Krishna explains to Arjuna the four categories of people who do fall into his devotional service, and that is, he starts with so Jana Sukrito means Jana is a person, Sukrito is those who are pious. So pious people, first he starts with Artho, people who are in distress. So Arth is a Sanskrit word for distressed. Jignasu, so in Hindi, people who speak Hindi, they would be very familiar with the term Jigya. मेरे को इसका बहुत जिज्ञा है. So that means that he is very inquisitive. He always wants to know more and more and more. Uh, Artha Arthi is one who desires material gains. Uh, Again, people who are, I mean, a lot of people fall into this category. So many businessmen and daily working people, householders, they go to the temple and their main objective is, please, can my business work well? Please, can that? So he's talking about that. And then in the last, he mentions Gyani. Gyani is one who knows things as they are, the seekers of knowledge, knowledgeable people. And Bharata Sabha is, again, Krishna uses different adjectives to praise Arjuna in each verse. So he basically explains the four types of people that fall into his devotional service. Priya, can you read the purport from yeah, just 1 sec, sorry. If you could read just till here, till devotional service, just this part. I'll just keep it highlighted so you can, no. Yep, whenever you're ready.
Unlike the miscreant, these are adherent of the regulative principles of the scriptures, and they are called Sukritana, or those who obey the rules and regulation of scriptures, the moral and social laws, and are more or less devoted to the Supreme Lord. Out of these, there are four classes of men: those who are sometimes distressed, those who are in need of money, those who are sometimes inquisitive, and those who are sometimes searching after knowledge of the absolute truth. These persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service under different conditions. These are not pure devotees because they have some aspiration to fulfill in exchange for devotional service.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So, Srila Prabhupada gives his interpretation on this verse of Bhagavad Gita. Now, pious people. So, in the previous verse, Krishna talks about the impious people, people who purposely go against what he has given, the guidelines of the Supreme Lord, who have no interest in understanding the Supreme Lord, who purposely, oppose the teachings of the Supreme Lord and have no desire or interest in understanding the Supreme Lord. They're simply in this material world to gratify their senses. They try to achieve more material gains. They're greedy and selfish. They try to accumulate more material gains without realizing that they're getting more and more entangled in it. So it's like a spider's web. The spider, it makes a very beautiful looking web, and an insect will just fall into it, and it will, the more it gets walks into it, it just gets more and more entangled into the web. Finally it gets so stuck in that web that it's unable to move, and the spider just eats it. You can see it everywhere. It's like the spider very intelligently designs this web, and it gets so many bugs stuck in there. Similarly, materialists who are stuck in continuous sense gratification and achieving some material goal or the other, they get stuck. But in this, he's talking about pious men, people who are more or less following the regulator scriptures. Now, in this, I will explain the four types of people, the four categories of people, and then I will ask you guys which category that do you think you fall into. So first is artha, or the distressed. Now, a lot of people come into Krishna consciousness, or they go into temples, churches, mosques, or they start listening to religious sermons when they are going through serious distress, like a relationship breakup, a marriage not working out, a business that's failed, family issues, just stressed out with societal problems. There are so many reasons why people come, and that's how they get started into understand. They are more inquisitive. Now they're more or less following the regulative principles. They have understood the regulations of the scripture, but they're not completely devoted to the Lord. Prabhupada has written that they are not pure devotees, because at the end of the day, they're approaching God also for some material profit only. They're going to God that, oh God, can you please give me relief from this problem that I'm going through. So that's artha, that is the distress. A good example of this is, so in the Mahabharata, Draupadi, when she was called in the court assembly, and the Kauravas had just defeated the Pandavas in a gambling game, and they had asked so they took everything from the Pandavas. They took their land, their army, they made them beggars. They just, they didn't leave them. They were like very palatial kings, and they left them with nothing, almost equal to beggars. And finally, they said that we also want your wife. That was Draupadi. Draupadi was the wife of all five Pandavas. because of a oath to their mother. It's a backstory, you can read about it. And when they and Draupadi had insulted one of the Kauravas, and to kind of get revenge and also kind of humiliate it, and because they were so egoistic, they thought they can do whatever they want with Draupadi. They said, why don't you strip naked for us? Because in front of a court assembly of everybody, they just said, why don't you strip naked? They started talking to her in very demeaning way, and they said they and then he ordered the Kauravas ordered their soldiers to go and remove her sari. And as the soldiers were removing it, and like they are very well built men, and Draupadi was one single woman, and they were in the courtroom with all Kaurav soldiers. It was a hopeless situation. She was fearful and also hopeless, because she said, I can't physically fight with them. We can't do anything because we are in enemy territory right now, and the soldiers, she can't fight off the soldiers. So at that point, tears were just dripping out of her eyes, and she closed her palms, and she just prayed to Lord Krishna that, oh Lord Krishna, please. And she was the daughter of a very profound king, and to be humiliated, any woman I would believe would not be like to be humiliated like that, especially the daughter of a king, a princess, would definitely, it's like she's lost all her self-respect if that happens. So tears were falling out of eyes. She just prays to Lord Krishna that he please save me, get me out of the situation. And it's a very beautiful leela where Krishna just continue the when the soldiers were pulling her sari, it was unending. It was just going on and on and on and on and on. So that's one way of understanding that how Krishna, being all merciful, is reciprocating to people in distress. He Another, this is a scriptural example. I can give you a lot of personal examples as well. I know there's one Mataji in the Friday group class. I won't take her name, but she came into the class because she was going through some family problems, and she was really upset. She almost like teared up in the class. And just she might have come to Krishna, not for, obviously she didn't come for just showing off like a pure devotion. She came because she was in distress, and was looking for some aid. But she came, and Krishna is so receptive. She got good association with devotees. She had very good interactions, and at the end of the day, she got a lot of teachings that were really helping out in her life. And this was like a couple of months ago. I recently met her in the temple. She was taking darshan of Shri Radha Gopinath, and she looked genuinely happy. She was like very satisfied, and her entire problems, what she was initially facing, she completely forgot about it, and now she was more and more interested in learning about Krishna, because she saw that this is such an amazing reciprocation. Krishna is so merciful. Anybody who approaches him, anybody in these four categories who approach him, he immediately reciprocates with them. He starts giving them more and more pathways for which they can come to him. So this Mataji was very, very in a better position in life. So that is Artha, the distressed. Before I get started on the other categories, Shohail, if you can just read the last part, I'll just highlight the part that you can read. So Mataji stopped at devotional service. You can go over here till pure devotees.
Pure devotional service is without aspiration and without desire for material profit. The Bhakti Rasamukta Sindhu 1.1.11 defines pure devotion thus: one should render transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably, and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculations. That is called pure devotional service. When these four kinds of persons come to the Supreme Lord for devotional service and are completely purified by the association of a pure devotee, and they also become pure devotees. As far as the miscreants are concerned, for them devotional service is very difficult because their lives are selfish, irregular, and without spiritual goals. But even some of them, by chance, when they come in contact with a pure devotee, also becomes pure devotees.
Thank you so much, Shoail. Prabhupada has given us a good idea of what a pure devotee means. A pure devotee is someone who's completely devoid of material gains, material desires, and is completely purified by association of pure devotees. So they say sadhu sangha. Sadhu sangha is association of pure devotees, association of sadhus, and through that association, one's heart gets purified. You know, we say that in bhakti yoga, which we are currently practicing, there are A, B, C, D's to be more evolved in bhakti yoga. A is stands for association, association of pure devotees. Now you would notice this in like even a lot of motivational speakers, they say this, that you are the sum of the five people you hang around with the most. It's a very known fact, like if you hang around with five people who are into smoking and drinking and all, you may not be a smoker or drinker. After a point you will, they, because that you're in that association all the time, you will eventually get that inclination, and you might even end up actually smoking or drinking. You might be, I know so many people who used to not smoke or drink, they used to not even eat non-veg, they were vegetarians in India. They came over here and their friends like pressured him, they like, let's go to Nene Chicken and have this, and let's smoke and let's drink. And through peer pressure they fell into it. Like they refused at the first few times, but how long can they refuse also? They continuously in that association, all they can see is what you see 24/7, that's what your characteristics become. So they just pick that up. This works in a negative way and a positive way as well. In a positive way is, now you might find, be unfortunate to find people who are into intoxication, gambling, and you might try to reciprocate with that just to fit in, just to be, you know, cool. But at the same time, if you associate with devotees, you will start doing more pious activities just by following them, just by looking at them. You know, Prabhupada used to say, I see a lot of these Western people, they, when they come into the temple, they try to imitate the devotees. They try to put tilaka, they try to wear kantimala, they start chanting, but they don't know, they don't have any back understanding of it, but they just imitate because all their friends are doing it, and they just try. And Prabhupada says that's very good imitation, because even though they're not understand, they don't yet understand what it is, but they are imitating good things. Imitating good things eventually will lead you to uh, a good result. That's what they're doing. They're imitating good things. I've seen so many Matajis. They initially go into the temple, and then the other Matajis will, try to force them to dance during the aartis, and teach them like different steps, and like get them to sing during the kirtans. And initially, they don't exactly know what they're doing. They don't know the spiritual benefit that they're getting. They're just doing it out of fun because their friends are telling them to do so. And over a time, they not only get the knowledge, but now they become so spiritually advanced. It's really beneficial for them. Like I spoke in the previous chapter, Prabhupada talks about, I mean, Krishna talks about the miscreants, the people who have only material goals and no inclination towards spiritual goals. They cannot be pure devotees because they are continuously stuck with their selfish desires. However, even they can change if they have association of pure devotees. I'll tell you a very funny, fun story, which his Amog Leela Das Prabhu was telling me. And I mean, it was on a YouTube video, and that story just stuck with me. It was a very interesting story, actually. So there was a drug dealer in Miami, and he was one day in a drug bust. His drug shed was caught, and he was escaping from the police. It was like a road chase. So he was running away from them, and there was a Hare Krishna Hari Nam going on. If you don't know what Hari Nam is, it's basically devotees, they go on the streets and they start chanting Hare Krishna, and they're all chanting and dancing, and it's a huge crowd of people. So this drug dealer thought this is a good way to escape from the cops, so he just entered the crowd and started dancing and chanting and tried to like fit in, to act like he was one of them. And the devotees, like, it's a typical devotee nature, when they see somebody entering their circle and trying to dance with them, they'll all like try to force him and get him to dance, and push him in between the circle, and hold his hand and dance, and just get a good camaraderie going on. So that's what happened with the drug dealer. They started holding his hands and dancing with him and all. He had no idea what Hare Krishna was, or he was not bothered with this Harinam movement. He was just, his main thing was, how do I get away from the police? Now, even though the police were unable to catch him at that moment, they were, keeping tight roadblocks all over. And so this drug dealer thought that like, once this is over, if I walk on the street, I'll be arrested again. So what he did was, he just went along with the devotees to the temple. And he went and he told the temple president that I want to join your temple. He didn't actually want to join it, he just wanted to escape from the police. And the temple president, he got so happy, he called the guy who was singing the kirtan, he patted him on the back and he said, you are an amazing kirtaniya, your singing is so transformational that people, like first time people just hearing your kirtan want to all of a sudden directly join the temple. Look at the progression that your kirtan is doing. You will be singing the kirtan lead from now on every day. You're an amazing kirtan. You look at the transformation you're doing in people's hearts. So that guy was feeling very proud. This guy was happy that he was escaping the cops. Now he had no idea what he got into actually. The next day he was forced to wake up at 4 a.m., attend the Mangla Aarti, where he saw people are worshipping, you know, he had no idea what was going on. He didn't know what Krishna was, what Radha Krishna was, what ISKCON was. So he was just baffled, but he was just thinking I can just escape the cops temporary. So then after that, he saw people were sitting and chanting. He had no clue what was going on. What is this? Why is everybody, holding some beads and chanting? Then after that, people were circumambulating the Tulsi plant. He again was because he had no idea about all of this. He was just too shocked. He was like, "What's this going on?" And this happened for days and days. The food, when it came to food, he was like a hardcore non-veg. He used to eat steak and all of that. He used to drink because he's a drug dealer. He used to do all those activities. But in the temple, all of a sudden he couldn't do anything, and he couldn't even protest because he voluntarily went to the temple president saying that I want to join. Now he can't blow away his cover like that. So he just tried to play along every time. He used to, pretend like he was chanting. He used to again follow the devotees during the Tulsi Puja. He used to do all of that. And he was very upset. There was no non-vegetarian. He had to wake up early in the morning before sunrise. It was just getting too much for him. But over a period of time, he started getting a change of heart. He was interacting with the devotees. He asked like some of the devotees, why are you doing this? Why are you circumambulating a plant? Why are you doing this? And when he understood the knowledge, slowly but surely his heart started transforming. And eventually he like after a Bhagavatam class, he became in tears. He went to the temple president and he said, I need to tell you something. And the temple president said, you're such a good devotee. You've made such quick progression. You're very good. You should go for book distribution and all that. He said, no, no, no. I need to tell you something. I want to surrender. So the president got very happy. He said, that's very good. All of us over here want to surrender to the Supreme Lord. That's very good. You've really advanced in your spiritual life. He said, no, no, I'm a drug dealer, and I came to the temple to hide from the cops, and now I want to surrender, but I want to join your temple permanently. Initially, I didn't do it because I wanted to do it. I did it for my own profit, just to save myself from the cops. But now, after listening to the devotees, my heart's completely changed. I want to join the temple full time. I want to get initiated. He just fell in love with the entire thing. But the temple president said, before you surrender to Krishna, you surrender to the cops first. If the cops come to know that we are giving refuge to a drug dealer, our temple might be in jeopardy. So he got him to surrender. And the judge, after hearing what he did for 1 month, where he was eating vegetarian food and chanting God's name and reading holy scriptures and all, the judge said that forget about jail. This is like much more torturous for a drug dealer like you. You should forget about jail. You stay over here. And the judge thought he was actually punishing the guy because of what he heard, like non-vegetarian, waking up early in the morning and chanting and all that. But this guy, there was like a very big blessing for this guy. This drug dealer eventually gave up all his wrong ways, and now he gives like Bhagavatam classes. He's a very renowned devotee, actually. It was a very beautiful story. So this again just proves what Prabhupada has written over here, that even some of the miscreants, by chance, when they come in contact of pure devotees, they also become pure devotees. Pure devotees, like if you had attended Devamrit Maharaj's lecture, just by a glance and by listening to them, I know some Guru Maharajas, just by the smile, they can transform people's heart. They're that powerful. A pure devotee of the Lord is very powerful. We are very fortunate that we came in contact with one pure devotee, and that is Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was a very pure devotee of the Lord, and we come to contact with him by reading the scriptures, by chanting Hare Krishna, because he's directly bringing the message of Lord Krishna as it is. So yeah, that is one way where we can, even the miscreants can approach the Lord. Now, can I get Akanksha to read the highlighted part? Just give me a second. And then we will talk about the other stages of people who fall into devotional service. So can you read Akanksha from those to where? Okay, you can do till here.
Those who are always busy with their fruitive activities come to the Lord in the material distress, and at that time associate with pure devotees and become, in their distress, devotees of the Lord. Those who are simply frustrated also come sometimes to associate with the pure devotees and become inquisitive to know about God. Similarly, when the dry philosophers are frustrated in every field of knowledge, they sometimes want to learn of God, and they come to the Supreme Lord to render devotional service and thus transcend knowledge of the impersonal Brahma and the local Paramatma and come to the personal conception of Godhead by the grace of the Supreme Lord or his pure devotee.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So another example I can give is there was one person in this temple and ISKCON temple, and he had failed his the account certification exam. So in India, we have this accountancy. If you want to become an accountancy accountant, you have to do this course, and it's a very difficult course. I know people who have like applied like 4 5 times and they failed. It's very hard. Like people really have to struggle years and years of studying, just and the questions are very difficult. It's very like a back breaking degree to get, and people, just and it's very like people really look forward to getting this. It's like as prestigious as, like in India, being a doctor, engineer, all of those are very big things. So even an accountant, if you do that accountant certificate, it's like your family is very happy with you. It's like a very big thing in India. So people who are doing that, they're really in distress when they're unable to crack it, because they have to study a lot, and when it's not, they're unable to clear it, it's just very disappointing for them. So there was this one person, the student, who gave this exam and he failed for the third time. And that time he's like, Shah, I hate this. What is this? I can't do this anymore. He was so troubled, when his family was constantly, mocking him, like, you failed 3 times. What are you doing? His friends used to make fun. He had sacrificed like his entire youth life. He could have gone to the movies. He could have, partied. Instead, he was studying. In spite of all of that hard work, he just failed, and he was completely disappointed. So he was in artha. He was in distress. He went to the temple and he just sat at the back, and he was just in, people who were, they just sit in the back and they let their mind do mental movies with them. They keep on thinking about the same scenario in different ways. So that was what he was doing. He was just sitting at the back and just continuously drooling over his, sorry, not drooling, but feeling bad about him, self pity. And the kirtan was going on, and the devotees were in full energy, and they started dancing. And again, like I said, when the devotees see somebody sitting during a kirtan and they're all dancing, they just pick him by the hand and they'll make him also dance. So initially, like, they picked him up, and he was like, oh, well, what are you doing? Can you get off me, please? Get lost, don't pick me up. I want to be alone, please. He started pushing, but they're all in so much trance, they're so in the mood, that they can't even understand all of that. So they're just in dancing, and they're all in bliss. And this devotee, initially he was protesting. He was like, why are you guys pulling this? Help, save me. He was like uneasy, uncomfortable. But at the end, he actually started enjoying it. He also started participating in the dance. He started jumping high, and by the end of it, he went to the person who pulled his hand and he said, I'm really sorry for shouting at you like that when you were pulling my hand. Actually, I had failed my account exam and I was really unhappy. But thank you so much, because after I danced with you, I completely forgot about my problems. I was sitting and I was loathing in self pity. But now all of a sudden, I feel much better. I feel much lighter. And then that he was a brahmachari, the person who pulled his hand. So then through he started, consulting. He was like, okay, what happened? Started getting, and then he started giving him consulting. A pure devotee will never try to misguide you. There are people who will in the internet you'll see, oh, you're going through this problem. Why don't you join my course? Pay $399 and you join my course, and your problems will be solved. You'll see a lot of cheaters like that. But a pure devotee has no self material gain. He has no personal gain. He genuinely wants to help out the other person. So this guy also, and they always give you genuine good advice. So this brahmachari also gave him very beautiful advice. He got him to read Bhagavad Gita. He gave him like scriptural understanding, and through understanding all of that, he was slowly able to realize like he wasn't so upset about that. He was handling the situation much better. Long story short, he did become an account, but he at the end when he got the degree, he said, "I was crying about this degree so much. Now that I've got it, it means nothing to me because I've got something that's so much better." He was very happy with the way things turned out. All thanks to the brahmachari, a pure devotee. So that's the power of a pure devotee. That's a power of anybody who's trying to give you good, genuine advice, and especially a pure devotee. He will never try to misguide you. He's always in looking in how to serve the Lord, and his way of service is helping others to get out of their situation. So back to the four categories. So I'll just briefly describe all of the categories, and then you can. I would like to ask all of you which category that you identify with. So again, Krishna is saying that people who, of these four categories, when they come and render service unto me, he's the type of people that render service unto me. Krishna is also known as Hari. Hari means the destroyer of distresses. People are like we will see in people in ISKCON, they say Hari Bol. Hari Bol means like Hari is Lord Krishna, and Bol is like just chant whole Krishna's name. So Hari Bol, Hari is the destroyer of distresses. Uh, so people who are again in a lot of distress, like I gave the examples, through association of pure devotees or through one way or the other, they come into contact with devotional service through scriptural books like the Bhagavad Gita, and slowly their misunderstandings go away and they slowly start falling in devotional service with the Lord. The other category that it's given is, sorry, my mouse is not 100% fine. Just, yeah. So, am I in the wrong one? Yeah. Uh, Artho, distressed. Artharti. Artharti is people in need of material gains, people who have material desires. And so this category, you can see most of the people are like businessmen. In India, it's like a very common thing. So many people, half the people, I would say, I would argue, nobody actually goes to the temple that, oh, I want to see God, I want to please God, I want to render service. Most of the people go to the temple that, oh, I'm going through this financial problem. Please help get me out. Or they're trying to do business deal with God. Oh God, I'll give you, I'll do agarbatti three times around you, incense stick, and in return, please make my business very profitable. Or my boss is, I'm not getting a salary raise. I'll buy you one pair of fruits, and please can you give me a salary? It's like you're trying to do bad business with the God. Who gives you? You don't go to God for business deals. That's a very wrong approach. But Lord being so kind, merciful, even if you go for material desires, he may even give you the material desires, but he'll give you something much more. He'll remove the dark cloud of ignorance that's in your mind. So a good example of this is Dhruva Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam. There's a story of Dhruva Maharaj. Dhruva Maharaj was he was the son of a king's second wife. So now the king had made favorites in his wives. He had two wives, and the first one was his favorite, and he used to do things to please her. So the son he had from the first wife, he was playing with the king, and he sat on his lap. And Dhruva Maharaj, who was the son from the second wife, he wanted to play and sit on his father's lap. But the father, just to because he knew that his first wife would get angry if he was showing the same amount of love to Dhruva Maharaj, so he kind of neglected him, ignored him, and that completely hurt Dhruva Maharaj. And just to add, more oil to the fuel to the fire, the first wife, she like kind of taunted Dhruva that, oh, you should do more pious activities so that you're born from my womb in the later births, because you are not from my womb, he doesn't respect you. You're a lower born, that my son is going to be the king, he is more high. And he got so offended. He was a kshatriya, and for kshatriyas, anybody who offends their dignity, they take it to the heart. They can't get rid of it so easily. So Dhruva Maharaj was completely, agitated after that. He got so angry. He first, obviously, when you are somebody, even your like step mother tells you those hurtful words, you get very upset. So he was like crying, and he went to his mother and he said that this has happened. And she said that, yeah, she was very upset that this happened to her son. And she told him that, you don't worry, you should go and pray to Lord Vishnu, because the love that you're looking for from your father, even he's too materially entangled, he won't be able to give you that. Lord Vishnu can give you like unlimited amounts. You can pray to him and he will give you whatever he wants. So Dhruva Maharaj went for material desires. He got angry. He's like, oh, you insulted me like that, I'll become a greater king than your great grandfather, who was Lord Brahma, the creator of this universe. So Dhruva Maharaj was actually looking for a position even higher than Brahma. That's how irritated he was. And he was very determined, because Kshatriyas are very determined by nature, and they cannot accept insults like that. Their dignity and their pride is everything. So he went to the forest, and he was just a 5-year-old boy. He wasn't like a sadhu or anything. He was a 5-year-old boy. He wanted to play with his father. And but the Lord saw so much innocence and determination in this boy, that he went, and Narada Muni, who is a great devotee of the Lord, he went and he saw the Dhruva Maharaj. He told him, like, you're just a kid, why do you want to go through such difficult austerities? Why don't you just go home? These are like small fights that go on in the family. Just listen from here on out, take it out. Don't pay too much attention to it. Don't get so affected by all of this. But Dhruva Maharaj said, no, whatever you say, I'm sorry, I respect you a lot, but I'm not going to give this up so easily. I will pray to Lord Vishnu, and I will get a position even higher than Brahma. I'm complete. Whether my life goes, I will do that. He was that determined. And Narada Muni saw that, okay, this 5-year-old boy is genuinely, he's genuinely very sincere about this. He wants to take it up. He's not taking this lightly. So he says, you go and you chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. You cut down pleasing all your senses. You eat less. You drink less water over a point. You completely meditate on the form of Lord Vishnu, and yeah, you will eventually find Lord Vishnu. So Dhruva Maharaj went in the forest. He kept on chanting Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. And it's very beautifully written that initially he used to eat like once in a month or once in a fortnight. I'm not exact on the details. He's then eventually gradually completely stopped eating. Over a point, he used to breathe in limited times, because this was like thousands of years ago. So people were able to perform very high level difficult austerities. He was, after a point, he got so deep and so immersed in the meditation of Lord Vishnu, that he completely stopped breathing also. He could control his breath, and he used to breathe like once in a week and all. You can hear these. It's not like a very uncommon. Even in Ramayana, they say Ravan, when he was doing tapasya, he used to performing austerities, he could hold his breath and used to not breathe for weeks, for months and all that. So Dhruva Maharaj did that. And when you are completely immersed, it's called samadhi, when you're immersed in the meditation of the Supreme Lord. So Dhruva Maharaj was in samadhi, and by that time all his material, he was much more knowledgeable. He completely was very spiritually evolved by then. And when Lord Vishnu actually appeared, he all of a sudden in his meditation, he could no longer see Lord Vishnu in his when he in his meditation. So he got startled by that, and he came out of his meditation, and when he opened his eyes, he saw Lord Vishnu was standing right in front of him. And then Dhruva Maharaj went into like ecstatic symptoms. He started shaking, and then Lord Vishnu, he started offering very beautiful prayers to Lord Vishnu. And he said that I was foolish because I went to you with material desires, but now that I've been meditating and chanting your holy name, I am completely devoid of material desires. I have no need for them anymore. I just want to render your service. I want to develop a loving devotional service unto you. And Lord Vishnu gave him that. Obviously, he guaranteed him that you will come to Vaikuntha Lok after your death. he gave him that guarantee. And since Dhruva Maharaj, now that's how Krishna works. He'll not only give you, he will definitely give you spiritual gain. Like he will only give you spiritual gain sometimes, but sometimes he might as well give you material gains. And when he gives, he'll give it in threefold amounts. You won't even be able to handle it. So he gave Dhruva Maharaj the blessing, the boon, that he would be ruling over the earth for 36,000 years. And you would think that Dhruva Maharaj would be very happy, and he would also be getting a own planet in Vaikuntha Lok called Dhruva Loka. So you would think that Dhruva would be very happy, but he was actually upset. He was like, "Why did I even ask for this? This material demand. I should have just how foolish." He was regretting it. Anyways, he so that's an example of people who go to the Lord for material desires, but then the Lord gives them something which is much higher than that. He removes the ignorance in them, and sometimes he may even give them the material desire that they want. Again, I would like to ask one of you actually. Have you had any experience? So have I believe uh, we all were at one point not really reading Bhagavad Gita or anything. We didn't have all of that knowledge. So what experiences did we have, or like what prayers did we go to the Lord with for like some sort of gain? For me personally, I was I'll come to that. I was in the Jignasuk. I was more inquisitive, but I also had some material desires of. I was looking for a job in Australia, and I was really struggling with that. And I'd gone with those kind of prayers to God. So, if anybody could share any those kind of desires that you had when you were initially praying to the Lord, any material desires. So, let me see, Akanksha, if you had anything to share.
Yeah, I also have a very similar story. So my when I got married and when I came here and I got married and all those stuff, my relationship was at like on the verge of divorce. I It was so frustrating. I don't know, from his side also and from my side, we were on the like, okay, so today's the last day and we would be filing for divorce for tomorrow. And I read all the documents and downloaded everything, searched for lawyers and fee and all those things. And then after 2 days, like when I met one of my friends and they said like, you should know, like, just say to this universe that what you want in your life. Do you really need this divorce, or you just need, you are in the ego of something, or maybe just letting your like I was taking a kind of a revenge from my parents also, because I don't want to get married to this man and they forced me and all those things. I wanted to get revenge, like this is how the what the condition of me is today. And then my when I met my friend and she told me, just say this to the universe, whatever you like, if you really need this divorce, just go for it. If you really don't, there is a like 0.05% of chance to save your marriage or save yourself, just go for it. And like I don't know, it was, I 99% of it I was wanting a divorce, but there was a 1% hope, okay, let's give another chance. And before going to meet a lawyer, we both sat and we talked. I don't know for what nonsense we talked. We apologized for everything whatever we did. And then since then and now, it's like we are into this friendship zone, like we are having the best time. So that's this was very very distressed. In fact today also, like I started Gita, I read 110 pages and then I got distracted, then again came to read the Gita, again distracted. But this time I make sure like, okay, I have to be there, I have to be. So I came back because I was quite distracted. If anyone says to me anything, I saw being crying and all those things. So that was a main motive to come back again, to be like, have more confidence in me, more like I should be knowing my value, not everyone just go and say something to me and I keep crying. I really want that others should not of others words should not affect me, whether they don't like me or like me, that's their problem. That's the thing. So
That's a very beautiful story, very beautiful sharing that you just did, Akanksha. Thank you so much. That was very beautiful, heart touching. We can just see how merciful the Lord is. Like, even when you're in times of distress, when your family life, marriage life is not working out, how in that point of distress, if you approach Him with a sincere heart, he will solve your material needs, and also now you're doing very good, you're already in the path of devotional service, you're associating with devotees, you're reading Bhagavad Gita. It can be 10 minutes, it can be 5 minutes, it can be 5 words also, but the Bhagavad Gita is so powerful and potent that even if you give little bit of attention to it, it will reciprocate and give you so much material spiritual benefit. And over a point you will see that what people say to you, what others people's opinions, it won't affect you at all. You'll be very um, deep in your like your self understanding will be very powerful and strong. It'll be like a bulletproof vest that you're wearing. So again, very beautiful sharing, Akanksha. Thank you so much, Mataji. And Shohail and Priya, if you would like to add something, also request you to keep it sort of short because I think we're almost running out of time, so I need to complete. So yes, any material goals that you wanted to achieve through devotion to Krishna, and then your experiences about that. Priya, you can start if you want.
Well, in the beginning, I always did go to the Krishna through the material desire. But later on, it got changes because I just went and prayed to him just because I want to, just because he's there and I want to be in his presence. So yeah, and in all this time when I have been I have been praying to him, he had fulfilled my things. Sometimes it has been like a thought has occurred to me and it had been fulfilled. It has happened to me too. And sometimes I feel in a distress too when something is not made, and I feel like, why is it happening? I question that too. But later on, I get to know like why those things were happening and what did I gain from that one. So yeah.
Very beautiful. And Shohail, any realizations, experiences that you'd like to share?
I never had I never had like a material desire, but like I guess like trying to fit in, I guess like I I dealt with like a wrong crowd of people throughout my whole childhood life, and I had a really like rough childhood growing up. So like this, yeah, I never had like a really mature desire because I never liked this world.
Mhm.
So like I was just like I was just like rode throughout like my 18 years of life, 16 years of life, and then like I started getting more deep into like prayers and everything. Then this year I started like going fully into it, and yeah, which I'm really thankful for because each problem made me into this.
Oh, very good. That's one thing
Mm,
I've noticed when you start praying to Krishna is even we all have passed. I also had like a lot of bad association, people who were into drugs and drinking and all
mm,
of that stuff. I was a part of that life as well. But then when you come and I had like at that time I used to feel like, what is this? Why am I? What am I doing with my life? Why are there so many problems?
mhm,
But then eventually when I come to Krishna and all that, he connects all the dots, and then you think, okay, actually happy that this happened because all of this eventually led me to here.
mm,
So again, very beautiful realization, Prabhu. Thank you
mm,
so much for sharing that. Yeah, that's the mercy of Krishna. No matter what condition, what past, what history do you have, you can, if you approach him with the sincere devotion, with sincere prayer, you will he will give you like a bucket, not even a bucket, a ocean of mercy. Hey Krishna, Karuna Sindhu. Karuna Sindhu is he's the master of mercy. He can give you so much mercy that after a point, when you get that much mercy, you will stop having material desires. You'll be like, wow, I just prayed a little bit and I got so much. I don't even want all of this now. I just want to pray to you. You'll be so grateful. Your heart would be full of gratefulness. So again, thank you all for your very beautiful realizations. Again, I'll tell you one important like Shohil Prabhu just said that you started reading Bhagavad Gita. Akanksha said that you also started reading Bhagavad Gita, which is very good. The importance of Bhagavad Gita is shared in a story from Ramayana where Sri Ram was eating lunch, and it was like a very like a luxurious feast. It was like different dishes and like different cuisines, different dishes, and those dishes made in gold and diamond studded and very fancy because he was the king. They wanted to treat him very well, very royal feast. And he just sat down and he was about to eat. and he was informed by one of his messengers that group of brahmanas have walked in. So he left his meal in the middle. And during Vedic times, people used to not actually leave the meal. It's considered disrespectful for the meal if you leave it halfway and you go and attend some other business. If you're sitting down to eat, that's all you do. You just eat and then you continue after you're done. So he left it in the middle and he went. And the brahmanas, they were like, "Oh Ram, why did you do all of this? You need not have. You could have finished your meal. You're a king. We could have waited for you." He said, "No, when it come they were actually calling Ram for some charity regarding work, and Lord Ram said that any thing that involves charity to the brahmanas, you should give up. He gave like a very unique figure. You should give up like 100 meals for charity of brahmanas. You should give up 1,000 meals for reading scriptures, in this case Bhagavad Gita. You should give 100,000 like 10,000 meals for doing social service. So he gives down that breakdown. So that's just to give you guys the importance of reading these scriptures. Just even if you make the attempt, Krishna is very practical. He will reciprocate. Like you have to do the best you can. You have to do it with sincerity, and he will reciprocate. After a point, you'll see your life will be very smooth. It will be like a smooth way down. You won't find so much obstacles. You'll be like, hey, you know what? I don't have that anxiety that I used to have before. I don't have so many problems now. It's very smooth. I'm very peaceful and happy. And that's what Krishna does. If you approach him with sincerity, he gives you 300 times that. Just a little bit. Like there's a very good example during when they were going to Lanka. Sri Ram and his Vanar Sena were going to Lanka. They were all making that bridge, the Ram Setu, and Hanuman ji was picking up like heavy mountains and he was throwing it in the wall. He was saying Jai Shri Ram, and he threw that rock, and he was like doing almost like 50-60% of the work. He was picking it up, making the bridge, because he was very well built, powerful and big. And then he saw a little spider who was had a small pebble, and he was like pushing it one step at a time. He was walking very slowly and slowly pushing the pebble. And Hanuman got like kind of angry at him. He said, "Why are you pushing a pebble? What contribution is this? You just increase your speed, do quickly. We have to make this bridge." And then Lord Ram immediately chastised him. He said, "Don't shout at the spider. He's doing the best he can. Each person has different abilities, and based on that the Lord understands. He knows your strengths and weaknesses. If you try to do your thing by genuine sincerity and devotion, he will accept it." He said that the spider's service is as equal to your service. Even though you're lifting big mountains and he's lifting a pebble, you both are equal in my eyes, because you both are doing it the best of your capabilities. So that's just to give you an example of how the Lord expects service. He doesn't want you to be the sadhu or a saint who's doing difficult austerities. He just wants you to do things with sincerity the best you can. Okay, so I did again, I can't stop with these stories because some of them are so beautiful and they are so heart touching. Ghanshyam Prabhu actually had told a story about a sadhu who used to do a lot of tapasya in the Himalaya. He was like a very hardcore devotee of Lord Shiva, and he used to do he was in deep meditation in Lord Shiva. And in his meditation he was actually looking for some material gains. He needed some material benefit. So Lord Shiva, and people who want material benefit, they usually worship Lord Shiva. So when he was worshipping Lord Shiva, Lord Shiva came in his meditation and he said, "You should go to Rupa Goswami in Vrindavan. He can give you all the material desires that you have." So when he came out of the meditation, he knew exactly what he had to do. He packed up his stuff, he went to Vrindavan, and he looked around for Rupa Goswami. Finally saw Rupa Goswami chanting Hare Krishna at the banks of Yamuna. And he went to Rupa Goswami and he said that Lord Shiva came in my meditation and told me to approach you for material gains. Is there some blessing that you can give me through which I can get a lot of material benefit? So Rupa Goswami said, "See, I'm a beggar. I beg for alms. I'm a renunciant. I don't have any material things that I can offer you personally. But I have this touchstone where whatever you touch with it, it turns into gold." So the Brahmin priest got very happy. He said, "Yes, yes, yes, please. Where is it? I want it. I want it." So he said, "I threw it in the banks of Yamuna." He said, "You threw it? What's wrong with you?" And without like even completing the sentence, he went to the Yamuna and he started looking for the stone. Luckily, it was in the banks. It wasn't inside the river. So he got the touchstone and he thanked Rupa Goswami, and he went on his way. And he was like the happiest person. He was touching anything and it was turning into gold. But then, since he was an intelligent person, his intelligence just clicked all of a sudden. And he said, wait, if he just gave me the stone so easily, I touch anything and I get gold. So this is such a precious stone that anything you can touch it turns into gold. But if he gave it up so easily, he threw it in the banks of Yamuna, that means he must be having something much more powerful than this, something much more beneficial than this. So think after listening to his intelligence, he went again and he said, hey, why did you throw this in the first place? Like he said, because I have no need for this. I don't see any value in this. So he said that, why did you throw it in the bank? So he said that I cannot personally use it, but somebody else like you, for example, could have used this and got the benefit. So he said, okay, do you have something which is more valuable? He said, yes, I have a touchstone that can give you 1,000 times the benefit than this one is giving. So he said, can I have that? He said, yes, you can, but in one condition, you need to throw away this stone in the in Yamuna. So again, he listened because he was so in. So he threw that stone and he came back to Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami gave him a stone. He said, look at the stone and chant Hare Krishna. And after doing that, he came to know that he got so much knowledge and so much spiritual development that he understood the profoundness of what Rupa Goswami did, how meaningless that material desire was. You know, in the Bhagavatam, there's a verse where it's given like for whatever material gain you want, there's a demigod for that. So if you want, good business, you worship this god. If you want to be very knowledgeable, you worship Lord Goddess Saraswati. Like that, they've given a huge list. If you want, beautiful wife, like good marriage, you worship this. It's a huge list. And Prabhupada writes in the purport, it's like if you are in a prison house and the jailer comes to you one day and says that, hey, you know what? Today's a special day and I am giving people whatever they want. Anything you ask for, I will give you. So what would you ask the person? Would you say, hey, oh, you giving me anything I want? You say, yeah, yeah, anything, anything. He said, yeah, yeah, I can give you anything you want. What do you want? Oh, can you give me extra soap when I'm taking a shower in the prison cell? Or else somebody says that I'll give you anything you want. Anything? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, can you give me an extra chapati in lunch in the prison canteen? A logical person, when the jailer goes to him and says, I'll give you anything. He said, anything? Yeah. He said, release me from prison. That's like very common sense. That's the, if somebody is ready to give you anything, you should be asking to be getting out of this. So what Prabhupada is trying to say is, when we ask for material desires, it's like decorating a prison cell with more gold ornaments. Right now, whatever material desire you can achieve, big fancy car, good reputation in society, good job, flourishing business, great luxurious palatial house, eventually you're still going to face these four problems of birth, death, old age, and disease. The actual intelligent person would ask to get rid of these four. And in this material world, we are stuck in this circle. Even in, if temporary you might get a good house, after a point you're going to die. That house is not going to be yours. Even when you're alive, there's no guarantee that you're going to have this house. So you should ask for things. Knowledge helps one to transcend these minor problems. When you transcend these, all these things will not affect you anymore. So again, this was an example of Artharthi, people who have material desire. I'll just quickly rush into the last two categories and then we can ask questions. So the next is Jigyasa, basically. Jigyasur is the inquisitive, people who are always trying to know. Now, some of us approach Lord in distress, some of us approach Lord in, for requirement of material gains. But then some of us are just inquisitive. We want to know, okay, what is going on? Why, what is this planet that is revolving around me? Where am I? What is my purpose in life? They just trouble with these questions. And these people also eventually come to the Lord, because now I've seen a lot of like Western devotees in ISKCON. They were just curious. They wanted to know what is going on. Why are these people, chanting, and what is this? And just through their inquisitiveness, they try to learn more, understand more, and then eventually they became devotees because all the dots connected and they could make sense. So people who are inquisitive also fall into the service of the Lord. Anybody who had this experience, were they, do you think you fall into this category, or did you ever have this question? Like for me, for example, I was never satisfied with scientific like interpretations of this universe. Big Bang theory never made sense to me. Like they said there was nothingness, two things crashed, the entire universe. There were a lot of like gaps in this entire theory that they were putting in. We were cells, and all of a sudden there were electric sparks, and now we are in this body, and like we are not really our experience is basically electricity in our brain. When this electricity stops, we just stop like robots basically. A lot of things didn't make sense, and I said that there must be some answers to this. A lot of questions were like scientists have, like in my science book, there were a lot of scientists have not yet been able to prove this or understand this. Even Darwin's theory that we used to be taught in school, that we all evolved from apes, Darwin himself writes in his book that all of these are presumptions, because in Vedic times people used to not bury the body, they used to burn the body. But then when Stone Age people came in the Western countries, it started with Stone Age, they became apes, and then it was so over there you could find the bodies. So people, just because they found like skeletons of that time, they just declared it, okay, life started from this year, and people were Stone Age, but actually our civilization is much old. Human civilization has been going on. It's not like we there was a gradual evolution. So anyways, that was my way. And then when I came to Bhagavad Gita, it was like all my questions being answered. I was very inquisitive about all of this. And when I just read the Bhagavad Gita, it made so much sense to me. You read Bhagavatam also, they've given the understanding of the planetary systems and everything. So again, anybody who feels that you are in this the inquisitive category, Shohel, do you think you're inquisitive? What about you, Akanksha?
Um, Not so, but like there are days when you feel like what I'm doing, what's this life all about, why I'm so obsessed with someone or with something, and then the other day you feel no, I have to like this. You feel somewhat different. So it depends on the days. It's like not every day I feel inclusive towards the universe and God. It's just like
Correct. And
if we recite mantras, then I feel spiritually awakened, or why it is so, and why from where it has come.
mm,
So
no, that's a very good thing, because the Hare Krishna mantra, they say that just by chanting this, the knowledge of the four Vedas just fall into your heart. It's a very powerful, potent mantra, and if you do it more often and for longer periods of time, you generally start to see a lot of your questions are automatically being answered. So very good realization. What about you, Priya? Any do you think you fall into the inquisitive category? Any questions that
Um,
you?
no, I don't think I fall into that one.
That's all right. Yeah, that's very good. So yeah, because most of us are so stuck in like our daily goals, how do I study? How do I get degree? My marriage, my this, that. We're just so stuck up on this. We don't really have time to ask these deeper questions. So, even I was stuck, and I was actually in a point of frustration that led me to actually seeking for these answers. So, again, that is the Jigyasa category. Now, if one interesting that I saw, it's put in a sequence where Jignasur is put in between Artho and Artharthi. So what it basically is trying to say is what the acharyas have interpreted is the people who are Artho in distress and people who are Artharthi in requirement of material gains. Both of these categories eventually lead you to Jignasur, inquisitiveness. So like a person who's in materially distressed or something like that, he goes to the temple, he's wondering like why are these things happening, and then I mean he's just looking for some benediction, and then he comes in contact, and then when he gets knowledge, when you get knowledge, you start asking more questions like, okay, why is this happening? Okay, what is Krishna? Okay, what is this material world? What is birth and death? And then you get into Jignasa. And then out of all of this, in the next verse, Krishna says, my favorite category of devotees is the Jnani. The Jnani are people who are in full knowledge of the Supreme. Now, let me see. Okay, so quickly, just a one word thing. Out of these four categories, which one do you think? The four categories are distressed, material requirements, inquisitive, or knowledgeable. I doubt knowledgeable, like uh, I wouldn't speak for all of you, but knowledgeable is actually kind of more evolved state, because they say that all these three stages eventually lead you to Jnani. But which category do you think you fall under? Just a one word, you can unmute, say the thing, and mute again. So yeah, Shohail.
I've been through all of them, all three of them. Right now, I
Yeah.
feel like I'm in my knowledgeable state right now, like getting there almost.
Perfect.
I've been through all of them, so yes, I understand each one.
That's very good. That's very good. That's evolution, spiritual evolution for you. It's very
Mhm.
good. What about you, Akanksha? Distressed, material gain, jnani, or inquisitive?
Yeah, maybe all four, like not sounding very fancy, but this is like inside the heart, like I want all, like all I want big cars, big house, and then a spiritually enlightened, and some, like, it depends on days, like when you distressed, like you, why I'm distressed, or if my friend has a like RAV4 or something proud, or like, oh God, when will I have? So there are days when I get like attracted towards materialistic, and then I have to come back home. So like I also feel all the four things.
Perfect. Okay, that's very good. Priya, what about you? Which category?
I feel like I fall on the first two category of distress and material desire.
Mhm. Very nice. Thank you guys for sharing your experiences. Yes, all four. It doesn't necessarily need to be that we are all four. It could also mean that, like Priya Mataji said, we could be in material distress or in material desires. I think like 90% of the people come on for these two reasons. Eventually, they come into Jignasa, and then Jnani is when you're into knowledge. Radhanath Maharaj used to very beautifully say that identification of a pure devotee is when he's completely devoid of material gains, when he goes to the Lord and he says that I don't want any material cars. In the Shiksha Ashtakam by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it's written, Na Dhanam, Na Janam, Na Sundarim, which means that I don't like, he's writing to Krishna. He writes a letter to Krishna in which he writes, Na Dhanam means, my Lord, your mercy is so beautiful that I don't desire any material wealth. Na Janam, I don't desire to be even, liberated. He goes to that stage. Like most of us, a lot of people want to just, do Krishna consciousness so that they believe that I don't want to be reborn again. And if I do chant Hare Krishna, I'll just end. Like that's a very normal, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But a pure devotional state is when you don't even care. Like I don't even care if I'm reborn or nothing. Na Sundarim. Sundarim means beautiful women, or for women, it could be beautiful men. Like basically, it means I don't desire or large number of followers. Most of us, when we say material things, like you said, you wanted big car, good job, all of that. Okay, it's fine, but a pure devotional service means when you're beyond all of that, when you realize that the Lord is the supreme controller, everything is as happening as per his plan. And then when you do that, you realize I don't want to decorate my prison cell anymore. I want to, I'm the person who's helping me get out of this. I want to render pure service into them. Even I'm not in the pure devotee state. None of us are. We are listening to pure devotee in his book by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada was the best example of pure devotee. He went through all difficulties just because to promote the knowledge of Lord Krishna. So na dhanam, na janam, na sundaram. I don't want large number of followers also. A lot of people, we feel we want, like when couple of people start listening to you, you say, okay, how do I make a cult, how do I get more followers? In today's time, it's like, how do I get more followers on Instagram? If you have a YouTube channel, how do I get more subscribers? We are just looking for more and more people who just look at us and say, wow, man, this guy is so cool. We're looking for other people's approval. But when you go beyond all of this, when you don't want good fortune, you don't want beautiful women or men, you don't want any number of followers, you don't even want liberation, you'd say, I don't care about that, I just want to render pure devotional service. That should be the goal for all of us eventually. Through knowledge and all, when you read more of the Bhagavad Gita, all your misunderstandings will slowly start to come down, and then you realize this is the highest thing. Now, a best way to understand this is, why do you love your father? Like Akanksha, why do you love your parents? What is the main reason you love them? If you had to say one word, why do I love? Or anybody can answer. It does not have to be Sohail, Priya. You can just. Sohail, I can't hear you. You're not audible.
Oh, sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Now I can.
They gave birth to you, they raised you, and they made you the person you are today.
Correct. What about you, Priya? Why do you think you love your parents? It can be genuine. There's no like right and wrong. It's just a genuine, why do you feel?
It's just reciprocating the love they give to us, like when we are younger, how they take care of us, and we are like attached to them because of the relationship we had with them for the long period of time. So we are just reciprocating what we are getting.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Akanksha, what about you?
Yeah, a similar answer to what Priya said. It's just like reciprocating because there are times when I need them most, and there are times when they need us most. So
Yeah,
that's like, there is no specific day, like that's like they are there and I have to do like serve them, I have to take care of them. So that's a
correct.
thing.
Very good. Thank you all for your answers. Can I ask you a question? Who all stay with their parents currently, or are you all like independent now? Like I know Akanksha is married. Shoail, you stay with your parents, or you now a student in a foreign country or something?
I live with my family still.
Okay. And Priya, what about you?
I live alone here in Australia.
Alone, yeah. Okay, so I think when you're staying away from your parents, like Shoail, I believe even you would have stayed for a short while away from your parents at some point of life, yeah.
Mm.
So at those type of those times we really start to appreciate what our parents have done for us, because when we're with them we take them for granted. We're like, okay, they're making, like my mom is making food, okay, why don't I get better food? We take, like for me, my mom used to make so many beautiful dishes, but I used to be very picky and choosy. But then when I came to Australia and I had to stay alone and cook on my own, I used to like feel so bad, like why was I not so respectful to her? Why didn't I was so privileged, and that I took her for granted so much. It was such a loving activity. She used to start preparing the dish one night before with so much love. So it's that we don't. And if I were to ask you, do you love your parents because they bought you a new iPad or a car? But or do you love them because of the loving moments that you shared with them? Like when you're crying and you're upset and you're in distress, and your parents just sit down and give you that consolement, you feel that sense of ease, like, oh my, I can now open my heart to somebody. Or your parents are, they small things, so many things they've done for you. They are so happy when you have any achievement. They start telling everybody small things that you do. The first time you walked, they probably were so happy. They were happier than you because they started clapping, and they couldn't stop telling their relatives, like, look, my child has started walking. Every small thing they celebrated. So many beautiful merits. If you start thinking about them, especially if you stay away from them, you'll start knowing that there's so many beautiful things that your parents have done for you, so many things that we should be grateful to our parents for. And when we think about why we love them, it's not because of the material things that they've given. It's not because they've given me a good house and a good car, and they bought me a new iPhone and all that. Okay, that's fine. They give that. That's very good. You should be grateful for them for that as well. But it's the main reason you love them is like if somebody said, "Give me if you have to choose between the iPhone that your parents have given you or your parents," you would obviously choose your parents. Unless you're like, I don't know, psychotic or something. But yeah, it's the moments that you share with these parents, the loving relationship, the loving exchange that you have. That is what devotional service. Your parents, probably when you guys also become parents, like I'm also your age only, so I can't really. But when we become parents, we'll also have that same feeling for a child, where we derive happiness from serving that child. From when we are helping out the child, we're teaching him how to speak. We're helping him grow. That gives us real satisfaction. It's when the server feels more happier than the served while serving him. uh, that's what devotional service to the Lord also means, where you're just pleased in serving him. It's such a loving exchange. You develop a loving relationship with Lord, who's your ultimate parent, and you're just so pleased in serving him without any material gain. Like for example, if you got your first job or something, you got a paycheck, you would be really happy if you could go to your mom and say, "Hey, mom, you needed this watch, right? See, I bought it for you." Or, "Hey, mom, here's like I'm paying the rent for this week." They'll be really happy. Like they'll be like, "Wow." You will feel more happy doing that than buying something for yourself. Serving your parents, doing something to make them grateful, will give you a lot of happiness. Similarly, Lord is our supreme parent. He loves you more than your parents as well, because your parents didn't know you before you were born. Your Lord knows you. Krishna knows you birth after birth after birth. He knows every thought that you have thought before, every feeling that you're going through now, anything that's going to come in the future. He knows everything. And he's so merciful that he's actually giving you these material things, even though our job should not be to gain, accumulate more things and get more entangled. Our thing should be trying to get out of this material state of material state of life. But even then, he will still give you material gains as well as he'll give you knowledge and understanding. That's the kind of relationship we have, like a parent. When we feel very happy in doing something for them, showing appreciation. I bet all of you, like Shohel, you can do it right now also. If you just go to your parents and say, you know what, mom, dad, I'm really thankful for all of the things that you've done to me, like done for me. The sacrifices your parents probably work jobs and struggled it out to, give you this education and a good life and everything, even though we currently take it for granted. But over a point when we grow up and we become like that, or even now we presently also might know it, we get that sense of gratitude when we actually have to fall in their footsteps and we have to work to provide the rent. We like, wow, I was so luxury comfortable, and it was all because of their sacrifice, because of the love they had for me. You'll feel really grateful if you tell them that I'm so grateful for everything that you've done for me. You will have a very blissful experience. You'll feel very light in your heart. I would recommend trying it out. You can call up your parents or go and physically talk to them and tell them, I'm so grateful. That's like one small thing you can do. So that is what devoid of all material pleasures and pure devotional service means, where you're just doing it for the pleasure of the Lord. You do every activity for the pleasure of the Lord. See, Prabhupada also, he was a very uh, he was like 70 years old. He was a saint in Vrindavan. Vrindavan is like the heaven for saints. It's like spiritual world. He was very comfortable. He had a lot of respect and everything was fine. He had to give up all of that and go all the way to a foreign country with no money. He like barely knew the culture, anything like that. He didn't eat the food. He was like a pure vegetarian. They were all non-vegetarian countries. And it was in 1960s when racism was like a very big thing. If you go to even today, I think racism is slightly like come down, but it's still there. But on that time, if you're dark skin, they'll be very racist towards you. So he had to go through all of that just because his Guru Maharaj had requested him or ordered him to go and preach the message of Lord Krishna to the Western countries. He said this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita is not for Hindus only or for India only. It's for the entire world. Krishna is the God of all religions, all people. He's all merciful. Krishna means all attractive. So he went through so much difficulties. He was unwell. He was 70 years old. He fell unwell so many times. He had so much struggle with food. He had to go to Russia where you don't get any fruits or vegetables. It's all meat. So God knows how he survived. But in spite of all that, he faced all the difficulties without a single complaint, because it was for the pleasure of his Guru Maharaj, who's a servant of the God. They say Guru is like as equal to God. So yeah, that's a pure devotee, and that's the state that we should all aspire for. I'm not saying become one. Now we all have to be practical as well. We're all working. We're all students, so we should be having goals. Achieve your goals. Work hard towards it. Nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, understand that eventually we have to get to the stage of rendering pure devotional service to the Lord. That's the main goal for our lives. That's what we have given this human birth for. Is we've given this intelligence so that we can understand the world around us, understand that these four problems are always going to be with us. Birth, old age, death, and disease. How do we get out of this cycle of birth and death, and how do we attain pure devotional service to the Lord? With that, I would like to conclude. So these are the four categories. I'm very happy that you guys are making so much progress. I'm also learning so much from you guys, from your realizations. Hopefully, we can get into pure Gyani stage, and we'll be devoid of material. It doesn't matter how we started. Everybody starts from somewhere. The person who wrote Ramayana, he was a hunter. He used to kill animals, and now he was told by saint that you chant Rama Rama so that you can cleanse your heart. And he said, I can't chant. So he said, okay, every time you kill, you say Mara, which means death. And he used to just say Mara 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 Rama Rama Rama. So he eventually ended up chanting, and through that, over lifetimes, his heart got completely purified, and he became like one of the most renowned saints who wrote the Ramayana. That's such a elevated position. So we all, no matter how fallen we can be, or how many struggles, or what past we have, God doesn't see all of that. God only sees what you're. If you're making a sincere attempt, God will reciprocate. You will actually start to experience that your Paramatma stays in a heart, and Lord will start, giving you indications. In your heart, you'll know you're doing the right thing. So I would request you all, two things you can do from today is, as a New Year's resolution, if you believe in all of that, you can first try to slightly increase your spiritual activities. You can chant a little bit more, you can read more Bhagavad Gita, because these activities, even though at the time you're not coming to know, like when you water a plant, you don't instantly, doesn't grow. Over time it slowly grows. Like that, when you do these activities slowly over a period of time, but slowly but surely, you will start seeing that you're making so much progress in your life, in spiritually, materially. When you make spiritual progress, material progress just follows along. And then you're free of all the misconceptions. So two things: increase, if you, as much as you can, whatever's practical for your day. If you read like 5 pages, make it 6. If you chant one round, make it 2. Some small baby steps, but try to do that. And second is, go to your parents and just show them some gratitude. I think that's something that we should all do. And this being Christmas, in Christmas, I've heard from a lot of Australians that it's a day where you celebrate your family. All the family gets together and they celebrate. So if you're fortunate enough to be staying with them, go and celebrate, show them your gratitude. And if you are away from them, give them a call and just show how grateful you are for the sacrifice. Because no matter how good or bad, they are also people at the end of the day. They have also done a lot of sacrifices for you. We may not always get along with our parents, but we should always appreciate the fact that there is some sacrifice and some love that has gone into it. There's no parent who doesn't love their kid. It's impossible. So with that, I would like to say thank you so much for joining. Merry Christmas. And any questions? Anybody has any questions? Nobody? Akanksha, Priya, Shohail. Okay, very good. All right, thank you so much for joining. Hope to see you next week. Gansham Prabhu, I think would be doing, I'm not sure. I think he'll discuss that in the group later on. But yeah, thank you for joining. You can say Hare Krishna and you can log out. Merry Christmas as well.
Thank you. Ramakrishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna.